Hi everybody, Creative Katie Karen Burchill here. Welcome to my channel and an art journal tutorial. This is one from the Break the Blank Page, What Comes Next series. I'm going to start off by showing you where this page started. And here it is. We did some stamping and stenciling with black acrylic paint. And this definitely has a vintage vibe on here. We have lots of marks. Now, I decided that I am going to put this angel. This angel came from Pixabay. It is free domain to use, so I printed it out just on copy paper. And my thought process here is that I want to keep the gray tone of the image. This angel I printed off several months ago. It's been sitting on my table and looking for a page. And you can see how I folded it over. This is what you can do when you have a larger image and you want to fit it on a smaller page. This page is about 7 by 10, maybe a little bit less than that. So I'm going to, for the next layer, add some gesso and do the block and blend with my colors. Now, because I want to keep the gray of the image, I'm going to go fairly neutral. I'm going to put gray in the background. I'm adding a little bit of white gesso here. I'm just pushing back these butterflies. I really didn't like how they were peeking through. They didn't seem to fit where I'm taking this page, now that I know where my focal image is. So I'm just covering these up with a little white gesso. That's just going to push them all the further back in that image. But I'm liking the other, I like the script, I like the from the one stamp, I like the stenciling there. That all seems to work with the focal image that I picked. So I'm pushing that back. Now, any color would go with the gray. And if you're not sure, you can take some of the gray, mix it there, and try some other colors. I'm adding the gray with the white gesso. I want that smoky kind of look. And then going to be adding, and you'll see that, some deep violet in there. And the gray is going to dull it down a little bit. The white's going to mute it. So it's not going to be full strength deep violet. And I am mixing this all wet and wet. That's that block and blend kind of look. I am unfortunately going to be losing a lot of the stenciling and stamping that I have there because my focal image is quite big. But that's also why I'm keeping it fairly simple in the background. I'm not adding a lot of texture. And here I go, just adding that deep violet. And I'm really just, getting that smoky effect just by pushing it with my fingers. I don't recommend using a brush to blend it. Use your fingers, or if you need to, maybe a makeup sponge. That will give you that soft, cloud-like look. And that's what I'm going for here. But like I said, any color would go when you're choosing a gray tone image. So if you're getting free printables and you want to print them just black and white because that's the only kind of ink you have, and colored ink is very expensive, this is what you can do. You can add the color into your background. You can also paint over those printables, and you've seen me doing that. So now I want to grab that same stencil that I used earlier, and here I'm just showing, I keep them in a scrapbook binder, the 6-inch ones. That just works so perfectly. I think it's an 8-inch binder scrapbook. Now I'm stenciling with that deep violet. I just want some of that color picking through. So we have it from the background And that's been muted a little bit because we've put a layer of paint, the gray and the deep violet. Now I'm adding some of the same pattern with the deep violet. And I keep putting this over top. Of course, I've got paint on my fingers, so I ended up getting paint on my focal image. So be smarter than me. And then I'm grabbing the black, and I want it a little bit bolder or a little bit more contrast. But I'm not going for perfect stenciling here at all. Some is darker, some is lighter, and I want that. I was saying earlier, because this is a small page and the focal image takes up a big part of it, I'm keeping the layers a little bit less, not adding texture. If I was doing this on a bigger, I could do the same image on a bigger page. I could blow it up bigger, and I would maybe add texture. If you're not following me on Instagram, please go over there and follow me at Creative Katie. Now I wanted to add a little bit more fine stamping. I can see some of that script shining through, and I couldn't find the stamp set that I used last time, so I grabbed this one from Tim Holtz. It's Reflections, and there are 3 stamps in it, including this one script, and I'm just rubbing the black acrylic paint on it and stamping here and there. It's easier to stamp or stencil before you glue the focal image, and you get that look that it's underneath that focal image as well. At this point, I was going to use a larger portion of that focal image. I do end up using less of it. I just thought it was a better composition, and you'll see what I mean when we get to it. So I keep putting the focal image back on, seeing what I like. Do I have enough patterning, enough color, enough? Here I just sprayed my stamp with my Murphy's oil soap before so it doesn't dry before I get to cleaning it. Now I'm just edging with some black acrylic paint to frame the page. So hopefully you can see when you've broken that page and we had the stencil and the feel was there, that guided the next step and the next step and the next step. It also makes it quite enjoyable. This was a very quick, easy page. I think for me, it was under half an hour once that first layer was already done. So I glued that down with my matte gel medium. Now I've dried it, I'm cutting off the excess and just going back in and making sure that all the edges are glued down properly. So there you can see where that angel, I cut off a bigger portion of it, and I'm just giving it a good coat of matte medium because I know I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some shading later on. I'm seeing some empty spots, so I'm just adding a little bit more of that stencil till I get it how I like it. So again, while it was easier to do before I put the image down, it's not impossible to fix it. You can mask off the image, put a piece of paper there, or just be careful like I am. I love how that same motif, you get it in the deep violet, you get it in the black that was the first layer, and then you have it in multitude of different tones of the black on the top layer. Now I've grabbed my General's charcoal pencil. This is the extra soft one, and I am shading around here. Now, sometimes when you have cut out something, it's a little difficult to get the shading on the background. I'm going to show you a solution for that. Here I'm going actually on the printable, not beside it, and I'm just smudging it ever so slightly. I just want the focal image to stand out a little bit more, and the shading that I'm doing here is what is going to give that effect. And so if I had taken a picture of it before and then after, you're going to see that just that little bit of extra works. You could use the floating acrylic technique. Now here I'm shading on the background. And sometimes it's hard to get in there. So what I've done here, what I'm using is a tortillon. It's a blending tool. And that allows me to get right up to the cut image that I couldn't quite get with my finger before. I've switched to the General's charcoal pencil, the soft or the medium one, and adding some of the line work. The medium and the soft, they don't crumble, they don't blend or smudge as easily. They give a different effect. So this one is just more line, charcoal kind of line work. And I'm doing it around the flowers and everything. And I just keep tweaking it till I'm happy with what I see. Adding some line work there. Again, this is the medium or the soft. I got paint on the end, so you can't see. I unfortunately am not one of those neat creators. When I'm creating, my hands are covered in paint and I've got paint on everything. Now I'm using the extra soft and smudging it on the extra edge. I love that smudge look, and I'm working it in a little bit more to give it that gray tone. I just think that works well because I've chosen the gray with the single color. If you were doing this one, what color would you pick? Leave your answer in the comment section. I'd love to see. Now I am going to decide on some quotes, and I'm using my Time After Time sentiment pack. And I have them cut out, and I keep all my sentiments together, and then I just addition them. Different fonts, different degrees of boldness, different sizes are going to work. Now, I like the one quote, every moment matters, and I like the boldness of the font, and it's kind of in a old newspaper font, which goes with the feel. But I thought the scale was a little bit too small before. That was the one that I had shrunk down. This is the original size. All my digital sentiments, you have my permission to resize them, and I even have a couple videos that show how to resize the sentiments. So there's the small and there's the bigger, and I like the bigger scale on this piece. using the gel medium to glue it down. This is from the Crafter's Workshop. Link to the stencils, the stencil, the stamps, and the gel medium I'll put in the description box below in one of my affiliate links. You can shop around and find yourself the best price. I'm shading with the General's charcoal pencil. Loving, like I said, I love that smudged look. Just adding some things in. So we started with a page that we did stamp and stenciling. We applied color using block and blend technique and gesso, and then we did some more stamping and stenciling. We kept it simple, but the end result, I hope you like it as much as I do. Here's some close-ups. Give me a thumbs up. Share with your creative friends. Now go get creative.